What's going on, everybody, and welcome to creating a Reddit bot tutorial in Python. So what we're going to be doing specifically is creating a Reddit bot that goes through and detects Reddit spam and affiliate links, specifically in this case to Udemy, but we could very easily modify this to detect quite a bit of spam. So over like the last year, I've noticed this crazy sharp incline in the amount of just Udemy affiliate link spam coming in to Reddit. And it's hard, I think, to catch because they're not necessarily directly linking to Udemy. They're kind of linking to some other tracker site that then links to Udemy. So a lot of times they link to a Twitter post that links to Udemy, or links to a tracker site that links to Udemy, or they link to a Medium post and so on. Now that seems to be on the decline, and now they're actually not even doing that extra step. They're actually just linking direct to the tracker site, then which goes to Udemy, and they're not even being kind of hidden about it. Most of the time they're saying Udemy and all this kind of stuff. So anyways, I thought about writing a bot a long time ago to do this and detect this kind of spam, but there are just so many other things I wanted to spend my time on. I just didn't really feel like doing it. That was until a few days ago I found some Reddit spam to a Udemy course that was actually a pirated course of my courses, a direct rip from YouTube. Even the author's bio on Udemy was a rip from hkinsley.com. So just a total pirated course. And this was being spammed on Reddit. So wouldn't you know it, I found some time, I found some motivation, and I wrote the bot. So here it is. I'm going to run through it with you guys. We're not going to be writing it line by line. I'm going to kind of copy the method I did with one of the latest tutorials. If you want to learn more about working with PRAW specifically, go to the PRAW tutorial series. Like, this is just going to be part 4 of that series. So if you want to learn more about interacting with the Reddit objects and stuff like that, check that out. This is really just a application, me just kind of showing you it going to use. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, obviously, have a Reddit account, set up the API. Again, go through the PRAW series if you don't know how to do that, but basically make an account, go to your account, preferences, app, create the app, make sure it's a script app. That's about it, really. Fill out the form. So once you've done that, you'll have your credentials: client ID, secret, password, user agent, username. I'm putting these into a PRAW_creds.py. This is a copy of that because the real one actually has my real values and I don't want to show it to you. So anyway, and then I've got a to catch a scammer.py script. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. The first things that we're going to need to do is import that PRAW_creds, the client ID. Oh, by the way, you don't have to write all this out. I have a link in the description to the tutorial. Also, the code is on GitHub. So if you want to contribute or check out the code or whatever, it's up there. I'll put a link in the description, but it's just ram spam Reddit spam detector bot. Okay, so once we've got that, the next thing that I want to do is basically we create the Reddit object itself, pass through all the credential stuff and all that. And then we kind of have to figure out, okay, how are we going to catch these people? How are we going to figure out who's a spammer and who's not? Because just because someone's posting a link that does go to Udemy doesn't necessarily mean that they're a spammer. I mean, they're probably a spammer, but we can't just assume at that point that they're a spammer. So what we actually need to do is probably go through all of the posts, but then go through posts that are linking to Udemy stuff, but then also go to that username and then check out that username. Are all of their posts to Udemy junk, or is just some of it, or, you know, whatever? Because sometimes, like, I thought it was probably the course creators, just the course creator that created the course, and then they went to Reddit to kind of spam it out. But no, these are definitely massive spam rings. So I found so much, they're huge. I didn't realize how big this problem was until I really started looking into it. It's pretty nuts. Anyway, so what I've done here is I'll pull up, so for example, let me pull up my little bot guy. So this is my spam detector bot, and basically what he does is he just going to these threads and just posts this message basically. So like in this case, this guy, I don't even know this name. It's just a spam name. We're just saying, hey, a third of these 33 submissions from this user appear to be Udemy affiliate links. And the reason we can know that is if we actually go to this user account, we can just click on it and we can see, like, look at all of these courses. Really 100% of these are courses. In my case, we're just looking for the term Udemy. But in time, I plan to expand that out, because obviously, especially once somebody figures out that I'm looking for the term Udemy, they'll just remove the term Udemy. So so that'll change for sure. We'll come up with better words and stuff, and ways to match courses. There's lots of little things. I'm not sure I'm going to go over all of them. I don't want to give away the tricks to the trade. But anyways, yeah. So it's pretty quick and easy to go to these people's page and figure out, this is a spam bot or a spammer. I'm actually not confident these are bots. I think it might actually be a human behind them. Anyways, we're going to move these aside now. So that's what we need to do. We need to get to this user and look through his content. So so we can do all of that with the Python Reddit API wrapper. So what we're going to do first is just find spam by a username. So the function that I wrote for that, or find spam and then return the usernames. So basically what we're going to do here is we're just going to go through a search query and just log all of the authors, right? And then what we're going to do here is, let's just iterate through that real quick just to show you an example of it running. So paste, and then I'll run that. So here we have just the list, basically just ran through, you know, the posts, and then here are the users. So all of these people are suspicious, at least, but again, these are just people who have posted about Udemy. We don't know anything more about them, so we really kind of want to dig a little deeper into these users to really determine whether or not they're spammer or they're just a regular person sharing a link to their course. So now I'm going to go ahead and do is just overwrite this kind of loop here. And so instead what we're going to do is we're going to search for query, and right now we're just going to random choice for Udemy. Again, later I would add many more terms to that, because again, if we're just looking for Udemy, if these spammers were to find out that that's the one thing that is the crux to this entire code, they'll just stop posting Udemy. They'll just stop using that word, because it's really not essential. So anyways, once we find that, we're going to have spam content, trashy users, and then basically smelly authors. We don't know if these authors are trashy, but they smell bad. So we're going to figure out a little bit more about them. So also we're using random here, so let's go ahead and at this stage we need to import random. Okay, so once we have these smelly authors, we want to start iterating through the smelly authors to figure out what their deal is. So we'll come down here, paste. Let me make sure we're not having a tab issue. Good. And let me make sure this is set right. And then, okay, cool. So what we're going to do is now we start iterating over those authors. So for each author in smelly authors, we're going to start counting how many trashy URLs do they have, how many submissions did they make, and how many of those submissions are dirty. So then what we want to have is something that is like common spammy words. So I'm going to actually come up to the top here and just paste that in. So common spammy worms. Udemy, course, save, coupon, free, discount. As a matter of fact, really a lot of these things, like for sure course, coupon, discount, chances are if someone has these things in there, it's probably spam. But anyway, and then if the user continues, like again, if we search for spammy words and then we only matched these spammy words, if like more than 50% of a user's content is always this junk, they're a spammer. so anyway, that's just again to point out, you know, the Udemy should not be the only word that you're going to use. I'm just going to do it for this tutorial. I don't want to give away all the great words. But we'll see. I'm going to have it up on GitHub for a little bit, and if people contribute, then we could probably leave it open source, and it won't be a big deal if people can stay ahead of it. But this isn't exactly the most exciting task in the world, so I'm not really sure how many people are going to help, but it's kind of fun to combat these guys. So anyway, the next thing that we're going to do is basically we want to run through their submissions. So we found the author. Now we want to iterate over that author's submission. So we want to visit their profile. So I'm going to paste in that chunk of code. Let me zoom out a little bit there so it all fits. So we want to throw a try and accept into here, mostly because the post might have been made by that author, but these authors are spam authors. They're going to eventually be removed from Reddit. So when that happens, sometimes these users will return error codes if you try to access them. Otherwise, what we're going to do is basically what we're going to say is for submission in that Redditors and then string author, because at this point, author is actually an object. It's an author object from the Reddit instance. So from whatever that author's username is, their submissions ordered by new, we're going to start iterating over them. So we're going to see where that submission links to. At the moment, I don't actually think I'm using this, but this is another great thing to track to figure out if someone's a spammer. Right now, they're using the same kind of websites. So one, you could figure out if they're a spammer, but two, you could also link them to other spammers. And this is what I started to do to identify the networks themselves. So the people that are spamming to the same kind of trackers, they're pretty much all connected, and given the fact that they all have very similar usernames, I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably the same group that's doing this. But anyways, moving right along, I'm not actually using that right now, I don't think, but it's still something good to track. Otherwise, we take the ID so we can quickly get to it. Actually, I'm not even sure we're tracking that anymore because I think we just get the URL to it. But anyways, we also want to track the subreddit, again, just in case there's like a Udemy freebies subreddit that is basically all affiliate spam. So I think everybody in that subreddit probably knows exactly what that subreddit is. It's like literally probably for spammers. So not really sure what to say about that. Honestly, I feel like that sub should just be deleted, but whatever. But then we're going to say dirty equals false. And then what we're going to do is we're going to iterate through the spammy words. And then for each word in the submit title .lower, what we want to do is if the word is in the submit title .lower, that way we lowercase everything. If it is, then we're going to say dirty is equal to true. We probably should break at this point and not waste any more. It's not going to... I would break at this point, but we're going to continue on. Anyways, and then if that junk is not already in the user's trashy URLs, let's go ahead and add some information, the submission ID, the title, and the author's name into there. And then if this is dirty, what we're going to do is we're going to add to the dirt count, add to the sub count, and it's just basically a counter for that. Now what we want to do is if the trashy score is above something, basically. So we want to generate this kind of oh, we don't have a trashy score. So let me copy and paste this new block, because actually this one's going to change. So really we're just adding a little bit under here. But basically what we're going to say is, so like what we did up to this point is like right here, right? That's what we've just covered. Here, what we're going to say is we're going to try to say the trashy score is equal to however many dirty posts this person made over the total that they have. If we fail for whatever reason, for example, sometimes the sub count will be 0. Again, some sort of weird error. You'll get a div by 0. So we're just going to say trashy score is 0. Otherwise, it's just the percentage of trashy posts. So we'll just print this out. You could leave this or get rid of it. Honestly, this won't take too much of your time, so you could just leave it. Anyway, if the trashy score right now is above 50%, we're going to add this user to the trashy users. And then for each trash in trashy or user trashy URLs, we're going to add that to the spam content in general. So once we get to this point, what we could do, let's go ahead and run this and make sure this actually works. So at this point, we were just returning users. Let's go ahead and run this real quick and make sure we don't have errors. Okay, so we're already running through it. We've found online free courses. Their trashy score is basically 92%. We've already run through tools. Break that. Anyway, so clearly this guy's a spammer, this guy's a spammer, this guy's probably a spammer. For some reason, his ratio is at 44. This is actually the guy I showed you initially, I think. So anyway, probably we should lower it maybe to 30%. I mean, if more than 30% of a user's submissions are spam, maybe that's worth pointing out. I don't know. I can't decide on what a good number is, but I feel like definitely more than 50%, they're a piece of junk. So, so once we've identified who's a piece of junk, what we want to do is then iterate over that and then post to it, because now we know it is truly junk. So every time we make a post, at least on a brand new account, we have like a timer. It's like a 10-minute or 8 minutes or something like that. So every time we make a post, we also want to sleep. So we're going to import time here. And then I'm going to scroll on down. And now what we want to do is basically just iterate over the whatever we have now in spam content. So I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to scroll out and make sure we did that right. Let me confirm that real quick. Yeah. So once we get to this point, let me pull this back down, zoom in. We're going to start iterating over the spam content. So we're going to identify the ID, the user, the submission itself. When was that submission created? If that was less than a day ago, that's just 60 times 60 times 24. If that was less than a day ago, then the full link would be to reddit.com/submission. Oh, I just want to save this for myself, at least initially when I was writing this. I really wanted to make sure I wasn't accusing someone of spam that wasn't spamming. So I'm going to save all of the links basically. Then this is our message. We're just beep boop. We're a bot. We're identifying this idiot. They're a spammer. Get rid of them. That kind of stuff. And then we're just using string formatting, passing it on in there, and letting them know. So once we've got that message, what we're going to go ahead and do is first we're going to check the posted urls.txt. This is just a quick file that we're just going to check and see if we've already posted to that file. If we have, then we're going to skip it. But if we haven't, so if that link's not already in the already posted, what we're going to want to do is let's print out the message. Let's go ahead and make a reply to that Reddit post. Then we're going to print out that we've posted to whatever the link is. And then we're going to write that link to the posted URLs text file. And then we're going to sleep for 12 minutes. And then we're going to break because we don't want to necessarily iterate through everything. We'd rather like start clean and go with the newest submissions again. So we'll break there. Other than that, that's basically it. So we can run this now. I'm not sure if we'll actually find spam this time around, but let's just see. Because I've been running this, so I'm not really sure that we'll find any spam. But we'll see what we get. And if we don't, see, we returned a 404 for some username. I don't know who it was, but anyway, if we don't post, what I can do is we can go back further in history when we search for posters, and then we can also go back further in history into the actual spammers. Like right now, we say we're not going to post on anything older than a day. We could. At least when I was writing this, I didn't see any point to doing that, especially if this is running live. There's no reason to go back super far historically to do this. But yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to find anything on this one. But what I'll do, I guess what I could do, I'll pull this one over at least. So at least here, we've figured it out. This one was for online courses. We found them. It just says we've posted, and then we're going to sleep for 12 minutes if we do happen to find somebody. What I'll do real quick, just to see if we can get somebody else, let me say, I don't know, 50. And then at the point where we wait, oh yeah, here. So let's just say, I don't know, 10. Let's try to rerun that, and we'll see if we find anything. Not really sure if we will. But we'll try. Wait for it. Anyway, while we're waiting on that, I'll just draw your attention one more time to this is on GitHub. If you want to make any contributions or support it or whatever, feel free to take part. Other than that, the code's also on pythonprogramming.net, running through it kind of like I did here. So if you missed anything or whatever, you can go over there. Man, look at all these users. We're fine. Probably shouldn't have set that limit to 50. Probably should have just done the historical to like 10 days or whatever. This is taking forever. Okay, so we found somebody. So again, it was online courses. And it's on Udemy freebies, which is like just a total spam subreddit. But let's go ahead and check them out anyway. So we'll just copy over here. We'll head to that. And here we are. So, there it is. So, in action, running, and just in general being slightly annoying. So far, it looks like people have been relatively appreciative of our bot, but we'll see. I wasn't really sure what people would think of it, especially because, like I said, like on Udemy freebies, I'm pretty sure that's all for spam, and I'm not sure like if people actually like that subreddit and find it useful because they get cheap courses. I'm not really sure. Anyways, that's it for now. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, whatever, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, I'll see you in another video.